what?
Come on.
I was doing crazy stuff, y'all. I was doing crazy stuff. I bought 2 houses right next door to each other, just crazy. I was my own next door neighbor. It was crazy. We just doing it, man.
What brought you back, Chris?
IRS. They said you better get out there and do something, but you going down. I said, well, let me think. Let me go out on the street. I'm tight with the public. I make a meal here, meal there. I'll get you the money.
So here is why Chris Tucker suddenly disappeared from the industry. One moment, he was starring alongside Jackie Chan, lighting up the big screen.
He making peak with Jackie Chan with that Rush Hour making 20 million. So I wouldn't go back to Friday either.
The next, facing an $11.5 million IRS lien for unpaid taxes and tangled in a messy legal fight with a former employee.
The Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
Some say it was all about money troubles. Others point to his controversial connections and his strong religious beliefs. And when he walked away from the Friday sequels, fans were left wondering, what really made Chris Tucker vanish? Let's find out. Chris Tucker became famous for his roles in movies like Rush Hour
what?
Come on.
and Friday.
Steal for my mama before I mess with your shit. And you know this, man.
He made a lot of money from acting and comedy. But even with all that money, Chris got into big trouble with the IRS. The IRS is the part of the government that collects taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, the IRS can come after you and ask for the money you owe. That's what happened to Chris Tucker. His tax problems were serious and lasted for many years.
People would say, save your money. Young, you don't want to hear that. They say, save your money for a rainy day. I said, shit, it's raining today. I'm about to go get me a Ferrari.
In 2011, the IRS said that Chris Tucker owed them a huge amount of money, $11.5 million. This money was from unpaid taxes going all the way back to the years 2001 to 2006. That means, for several years, he didn't pay what he was supposed to. It's not clear if he forgot, ignored it, or didn't know what was going on. But the IRS didn't forget. They filed a lien, which means they claimed legal rights over some of his property or money until he paid them. This was not a small mistake. It was a very big problem.
I was doing crazy stuff, y'all. I was doing crazy stuff. I bought 2 houses right next door to each other, just crazy. I was my own next door neighbor. It was crazy.
But things got even worse. In 2014, the IRS added another $2.5 million to what he already owed. This new amount came from unpaid taxes from 2008 and 2010. So if you add it all up, Chris Tucker now owed more than $14 million to the government. That's a lot of money, even for a rich actor. This situation was very serious. People were shocked when they heard about it. It felt like something out of a movie, but this time it was real life for Tucker. His team said it was not Chris's fault directly. They said the reason he had so many tax problems was because of poor accounting and bad business management. In simple words, the people who were handling his money and taxes did a bad job. Maybe they were not honest, or maybe they were just not good at their jobs. But the result was the same. Chris ended up with a huge tax debt. Some people say it's a common problem for celebrities. They trust the wrong people with their money and later have to face the problems themselves. Even though it was a very hard time, Chris still found a way to laugh about it. He even joked about it in an interview with radio host Tom Joyner. When Tom asked him why he came back to acting and comedy after being away, Tucker replied, "The IRS." He said the government told him to get back to work and start making money to pay them. He said he would go out and make $1 million here and $1 million there to pay them back. It was a funny way to talk about a serious issue, but it also showed how much pressure he was under.
What brought you back, Chris?
IRS. They said you better get out there and do something, but you going down. I said, well, let me think. Let me go out on the street. I'm tight with the public. I make a meal here, meal there. I'll get you the money.
In 2021, Chris Tucker thought things had settled down, but the IRS came back again. This time, they sued him for $9.6 million. This was for more unpaid taxes, plus extra charges like penalties and interest. That means the amount kept growing because it wasn't paid on time. Reports said that Chris tried to pay the IRS with monthly payments 3 different times. But each time, something went wrong, and he couldn't finish paying the full amount. The IRS said he failed to pay what he promised. So, they took him to court again. As of 2023, Chris Tucker was still working on paying off his tax debt. A court document said that both Chris and the government were trying to solve the issue without going to trial. That means they were talking about finding a deal or agreement to end the case. They wanted to finish the case quickly and peacefully. At the same time, Chris Tucker started acting again. He appeared in a new movie called Air, directed by Ben Affleck.
Unless they got Adidas on. And them some badass jogging suits. You gotta admit, we can't touch their jogging suits. I got my cousin in South Korea.
That helped him earn some money again. His net worth at the time was around $5 million, which was much better than before, but still not enough to pay off all his debt.
I'm cutting back though now. I'm saving my money. I'm smart. Getting smart with my money. I ain't doing that, buying all these houses no more. Smart. Me, Tony Braxton, and Jermaine Dupri getting an apartment together.
In 2016, Chris had a big legal fight with a man who used to work for him.
Terry Hodges. Terry Hodges,
Man,
good friend of
funny
mine,
show.
a veteran comedian who's just hilarious. And
This man, named Terry Hodges, said that Tucker owed him money. He also said Tucker broke their work agreement. In short, Hodges felt he was not treated fairly. Tucker, however, told a different story. He said Hodges had already been paid for all the work he did. Tucker also said that Hodges signed a paper promising not to talk about certain private matters. This type of paper is called a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA. It means the person signing it is not allowed to tell anyone about the private information they saw or heard while working. Tucker didn't just say these things, he also took action. He went to court and filed a lawsuit against Hodges. Tucker said Hodges tried to blackmail him. This means Tucker believed that Hodges was trying to force him to pay money by threatening to share personal information. Tucker asked the court to make Hodges stop and also wanted money from him, more than $250,000, to make up for the trouble. The situation got serious, and both men ended up suing each other. They both said the other person had done wrong. Eventually, the legal fight between Tucker and Hodges came to an end. In January 2020, they both went to a meeting called a mediation. This is when both sides talk things over with the help of a third person, hoping to fix the problem without going to trial. On January 21st, they met, and by the next day, they reached a deal. This means they agreed to stop the lawsuits and settle everything privately. A document was filed in court showing that both men had agreed to drop their claims. However, the details of their agreement were not made public. That means nobody knows exactly what they agreed to or if any money was exchanged. Hodges said he started working for Tucker back in 2008. He traveled with Tucker to different cities like Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. According to Hodges, he earned about $66,000 for his work, but he said he didn't always get paid, and that since 2011, his paycheck stopped coming regularly. He also said that Tucker had promised to list him as a co-producer for a Netflix comedy special. In the world of entertainment, a co-producer is someone who helps create the show and usually gets credit and payment. Hodges said that Tucker did not keep this promise, so he sued for damages, which means he wanted money to make up for the work he did without getting paid. Tucker gave his side of the story in his countersuit. He said Hodges was never hired to write, produce, or act in the Netflix comedy special. Tucker said Hodges only helped by warming up the audience and introducing him before the show started. Tucker claimed that everything Hodges was saying in the lawsuit was not true. He also said that Hodges had already been paid in full for everything he did. Tucker also said that over the years, he had helped Hodges by giving him money. He said Hodges actually owed him around $37,000. So from Tucker's point of view, Hodges was the one who owed money, not the other way around. This back and forth made the legal battle even more complicated. Both men had very different stories, and it was clear that their working relationship had ended badly. After months of going back and forth in court, they finally decided to settle everything in private. We may never know who was right or wrong, but the case was closed and both parties moved on. Aside from legal fights, Chris Tucker has also been connected to another serious matter. In 2002, Tucker went on a trip to Africa with some well-known people: former President Bill Clinton and actor Kevin Spacey. The trip was about helping raise awareness for AIDS and poverty. They all flew together on a private plane owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
The Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
At the time, many people didn't know much about Epstein, but years later, he was exposed as a man who hurt many young girls and was involved in serious crimes.
Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire New York businessman whose vast wealth brought an arrogance that knew no limits. Damn the consequences, he acted as if he could have anything he craved.
This caused a big scandal. In 2019, after Epstein was arrested, a Netflix series called Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich, showed many of his connections to powerful people. Tucker's name came up because of that 2002 trip. The plane, which some called the Lolita Express, became infamous. A woman named Virginia Giuffre said she had been forced to do sexual things on that plane when she was a teenager. She said she had been used as a sex slave for many years by Epstein. Other women told similar stories.
It turned very sexual, and it was abuse straight away from both of them.
Tucker, however, said he had nothing to do with any of those crimes. He explained that he went on that trip for a good cause. He wanted to help people in Africa, and he had no idea what kind of person Epstein really was. He said he only joined the trip for charity work and didn't know anything about Epstein's secret activities. Still, some people were surprised to see Tucker's name mentioned because of how serious the Epstein case was. Many fans remember Chris Tucker as Smokey from the movie Friday.
I steal from my mama before I mess with your shit. And you know this, man.
He was loud, funny, and full of energy. People loved how he made them laugh with his wild faces and fast-talking jokes. Smokey became one of the most popular characters in the movie. So, when Next Friday came out, fans expected to see him again. But he didn't come back. Many people wondered why. At the time, Tucker had become more famous and was working on bigger movies like Money Talks.
What's that you claim? You don't know who you're messing with, man. I'm deep in the streets.
And Rush Hour.
Chilly out what?
But it wasn't just about getting paid more money. Something deeper had changed in his life. Chris became more serious about his faith. He started going to church more and began thinking about the kind of messages he was putting out in his work. In Friday, his character smoked weed, cursed a lot, and lived a crazy lifestyle. Tucker began to feel uncomfortable with that. He didn't want to promote smoking or bad language anymore. His beliefs didn't match the Smokey character. People in his life, like his pastor and other church friends, told him it wasn't right to play that kind of role. Tucker listened to them and decided to step away. Even though Ice Cube, the creator of the Friday movies, offered Tucker around $10 to $12 million to come back, Tucker still said no. He had started acting alongside Jackie Chan in the Rush Hour movies. In those films, he was getting paid $20 million each. That's a huge amount of money, especially compared to the small amount he made from Friday, which was less than $10,000. The money he was making in Hollywood was life-changing. John Witherspoon, the actor who played Ice Cube's dad in Friday, joked about it and said, "If I was making $20 million with Jackie Chan, I wouldn't go back to Friday either."
He with Jackie Chan with that Rush Hour making $20 million. I wouldn't go back to Friday either.
Even though Tucker didn't come back, fans still love the first Friday movie. Many people feel like the original had something special that the sequels didn't. Witherspoon once said that the first movie was so funny because many of the jokes were made up on the spot.
We on the scene and we start ad-libbing stuff.
Okay.
And if they don't like it, they tell you, okay, cut it out. Don't say that. Say you can say this, and we do it 3 times different. You do this one time, this way, this way, this way, this way. And that's how they pick out what they like the best.
The actors were just being themselves, and that made it feel real and natural. There was talk about making a 4th movie called Last Friday. Many fans hoped Tucker would come back for that one, but Witherspoon didn't think it would happen. He said the actors were older now, and it would cost a lot more money to bring everyone back, especially since they were all more famous. While all this was going on, another story came out that put Chris in a bad light. Actor Vontae Sweet spoke out in an interview. He said that Tucker did something that hurt him deeply. Sweet is known for acting in classic movies like Boys in the Hood.
Hey, just don't forget how short 4 minutes is.
And Menace to Society.
If you're gonna pack the plastic, you're definitely going out. I don't know if it's like really lump, but whatever.
In the early 1990s, Sweet was doing well in Hollywood. He also helped others, including Chris Tucker, get acting jobs. According to Sweet, he helped Tucker get a role in Dead Presidents. They were good friends at the time.
Yeah, because I would go to comedy clubs. I would take Chris with me a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? Or I see him up there, you know what I'm saying? Plus, he only stayed like 3 blocks away from me. So I knew him like 4 years before Friday, you know, or Dead Presidents. They both came out the same year.
But Sweet said things changed after that. He claimed that Tucker stole one of his ideas and tried to sell it to TV networks. Sweet said he had a project that he told Tucker about a long time ago. He had even copyrighted it to protect it. But after a while, he put the project aside. Then, he started hearing from people that Tucker was taking meetings with ABC and other companies, pretending that the project was his idea.
He just you know, as he started to do stuff, you know what I'm saying, more, he just kind of, you know, next thing I know, he all that networks with my stories and ideas and pitching them.
Sweet said he tried to find Tucker to talk to him face to face, but it was no use. He couldn't reach him. He told some people who were close to Tucker to let him know that he knew what was going on. After that, Tucker never called him or tried to explain. Sweet said he felt very hurt because he had trusted Tucker. He even took Tucker to church with him at one point. They both went to City of Refuge Church in Los Angeles. The church's pastor, Bishop Noel Jones, became a mentor to Tucker and helped guide him in his faith. Tucker even went to Bishop Jones's 70th birthday party in 2020. Even though Tucker seemed to be growing in his spiritual life, Sweet said it didn't match what he saw. He said it felt like Tucker was doing one thing in church but acting differently during the week. Sweet said, even the devil don't do stuff like that. That's how upset and betrayed he felt. Sweet believed that Tucker had no reason to do what he did. He said that ABC later told him that Tucker had tried to make a deal with them, but it didn't work out because Tucker didn't really own the project. Fans had different reactions to this story. Some people were shocked. Others said it just showed how fame and money can change people. One fan online joked that you should never bring up Chris Tucker around Vontae Sweet because he still seemed very angry. Another person said it reminded them of talks in a barbershop where people speak their mind with no filter. Some fans even said this is why Chris Tucker was so good in money talks, because maybe he knew what shady business really looked like. One fan suggested that Chris Tucker should just call Vontae Sweet and apologize. They felt like it wasn't too late to make things right. But Sweet didn't seem too worried about it anymore. He said, "I ain't tripping. It's all done. It's in the past." That might be true, but the hurt in his voice during the interview showed that he still felt something.
I got one. I wasn't.
That one, John?
I got one son. That's it. I said I don't need no more.
Chris had another problem in his personal life. A woman named Gail Webb filed a different lawsuit against him. She said Chris was the father of her 2-year-old daughter. Because of this, she wanted him to pay child support. Child support is money paid by a parent to help take care of a child. Webb believed that Tucker was the father and should help with the child's needs, but Tucker said the claim was false. He said he never met the woman and didn't have a child with her. He strongly denied everything. Tucker's representative also spoke about the situation. They said the whole claim was fake and not based on any truth. They said the woman had no proof and that the case was just an attempt to get money from someone famous. Even though this second lawsuit seemed weak, it still got people talking. Some people wondered why celebrities often have people coming forward with legal claims. Others felt sorry for Tucker, thinking he was being targeted just because he was rich and well-known.
But I'm a comedian by heart, and I'm a comedian who act. I'm not an actor who does comedy. I'm really a comedian, and I found that out on, last year.
After being away from the spotlight for a few years, Chris Tucker made a big return to stand-up comedy in 2011. Many people had not seen him on stage for a long time. He decided it was time to go back to what he loved most, making people laugh. Chris went on a comedy tour across the country. He visited many cities and performed in front of live audiences. People were excited to see him again. On stage, he talked about funny things from his life, including his time in Hollywood. The tour helped him connect with fans again. It also reminded people that Chris was not just a movie star, he was also a great comedian. This return helped him fix his image and showed he was still full of energy and talent. While Chris was away from the big screen, he didn't just sit around doing nothing. He used his time to grow as a person. He traveled to different parts of the world and worked on helping others. He gave his time and money to causes that helped poor people and children. He visited countries where people didn't have much, and he tried to make a difference. These trips opened his eyes. He saw how lucky he was and wanted to use his fame to do good things. He also took time to think about his life and improve himself. These experiences made him stronger and wiser. In 2021, Tucker became an official ambassador for the Heal Los Angeles Foundation. This foundation was co-founded by Prince Jackson, the son of the late Michael Jackson. The group focuses on helping inner-city youth in Los Angeles by tackling critical problems such as homelessness, child abuse, and hunger. By joining this cause, Tucker demonstrated his commitment to improving the lives of young people in challenging urban environments. Later, during the 2022 Halloween Thriller Night event, organized by the Heal Los Angeles Foundation, Tucker and comedian Steve Harvey were honored with the first-ever Man in the Mirror Award. This award recognizes individuals who use their influence and platforms to make positive changes in their communities. Tucker accepted this honor from Prince Jackson himself, highlighting the deep connections he has with Michael Jackson's legacy and his family. On the personal side, Tucker has a son named Destin with his ex-wife, Aja Pryor. He divides his time between several cities, including Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Atlanta, balancing his personal and professional life across these locations. Tucker's friendships have also played an important role in his life. He is good friends with Jackie Chan, his co-star in the popular Rush Hour films. Additionally, Tucker had a close relationship with Michael Jackson. He introduced and danced with Jackson during the star's 30th anniversary celebration, appeared in the music video for You Rock My World from Jackson's 2001 album Invincible, and even testified on Jackson's behalf during the 2005 trial. Tucker attended Jackson's memorial service, showing the depth of their bond. Jackson's influence can also be seen in Tucker's work. He famously danced to Don't Stop Till You Get Enough in Rush Hour 2 and imitated Jackson's dance style in Friday. In 2006, Tucker took part in a PBS documentary called African American Lives, led by Professor Henry Louis Gates Jr. The documentary explored African American heritage through DNA testing and historical research. Tucker's DNA showed African, European, and likely some Native American roots. His family history traces back to the Ambundu ethnic group in Angola and the Bamileke in Cameroon. Tucker and Gates even traveled to Angola to visit the land of some of his ancestors, connecting deeply with his heritage.